Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Evans here at Coastal Animal Hospital, where we make your and your pet's life better. Today I want to talk to you about another confusing subject because there's a lot of misinformation out there and people do a lot of really weird things. And this is with vaccines in puppies. So typically we think of vaccines in puppies, they need 3 vaccines. And breeders a lot of times will do this where they'll start the vaccines at 6 weeks and they'll finish them by 12 weeks and say, well, they got their 3 vaccines, they're protected. Well, that's really not the case. It's not how it works, because it's really not necessarily about the number of vaccines that they get. More so, it's the timing of the vaccines, and that's where this confusion lies. So I'm going to try to go through this and help kind of get a little bit of clarity for you, and so you understand why we do what we do here at Coastal Animal Hospital. So what happens with puppies is that they have some protection from their mother, and they get these what's called maternal derived antibodies. So it's some antibodies from their mother, and over time those antibodies go away. And it's not until these antibodies decline to a certain level that a vaccine will be effective. So if you give it back here when their antibodies from the mother are still really high, those mother's antibodies are going to block that vaccine being effective. And so when it's down here, then you can give the vaccine, and then the puppy's own immune system will create those natural antibodies that will have for the rest of their life. But the problem is we don't know when that's going to happen, when those maternal derived antibodies are going to drop low enough that we can actually have an effective vaccine. And so it could drop as early as 8 weeks, it could be 12 weeks, or as late as 16 weeks. And by 16 weeks, almost all puppies will be able to respond to a vaccine. But then there's also the window where those maternal derived antibodies are low, and so it's not going to give any sort of protection if they get exposed to something like parvo. And if we haven't given that next booster vaccine yet, then there's a window where they can get infected. And that's why it's really important to keep your puppies inside, away from public places, until they've gone through their puppy series and we can feel sure that they are going to have some protection, which is after the last vaccine, typically around 16 weeks. So we give the vaccine at 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Now we would even give it more frequently if there's been a recent exposure to parvo. If you had another puppy who died of parvo and you're getting another puppy now, we actually might want to give that vaccine every 2 weeks to make sure that once those maternal derived antibodies are low, that we're not going to have a potential exposure to parvo before we've given our next vaccine. And you'll see a lot of shelters giving the vaccine every 2 to 3 weeks instead of every 4 weeks like we do here. So that's a reason why we might want to increase the number of the vaccines, because again, it is all related to the timing of it. So hopefully that explains why we give the vaccines, when we do, why we do it. And even if you're a breeder or you found a dog and they've already had 6 vaccines and they're 12 weeks old, we're still going to give another one because they're not old enough for us to be really sure that they have a protective titer. So if you have questions about that, give us a call, 760-633-2254. I'm Dr. Brian Evans. Till next time.